know. We have our secretary had to leave early today, so we are going to be recording the meeting, and then she'll be taking minutes off of the recording for that. And then between Marina and I, both for Water Resources, we're going to keep track of our action items and stuff through this meeting. So thank you, Marina, for doing that. Okay, so let me reshare, and let me make sure we have everybody here. So we have Lakeport, Maria, we have Bonnie, Andrew, Eddie is here, and Scott de Leon. Okay, yep, I think we have our whole quorum, so I'll share this. And we'll officially start the Clean Water meeting today, and I'll let our chair, Maria, start off.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 3:04 p.m. Could we have the roll call, please?
We have Angela Dow from Lake County Water Resources. Who else? Don't be shy.
Bonnie from the city of Lakeport.
EJ Crandall, County of Lake.
All right, so we've got county. Let's go Clear Lake. Who's here from Clear Lake?
I see Mike on there. Mike, you're still on mute. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Mike Baker, City of Clear Lake.
There we go.
Super. How about anyone else from City of Lakeport?
Andrew says he doesn't have audio, but he's not a committee member.
Okay.
But Andrew Britton is on the meeting as well.
Super. Thank you. I thought we saw some people from the state, but I can't get a clear list of everybody who's here. So, Angela, if you want to just sort of go down the list and see if there's anyone else.
Yeah, we have Scott de Leon.
That'd be great.
We have Scott de Leon too, who's here. Scott, can you hear?
Yeah, I'm with you here. Just kind of got this running in the background, and yeah, I'll be here.
And I believe that is it. And then Marina from Water Resources as well is going to help me with minutes.
Hey everyone, it's Marina.
Hello.
Hello.
Great. Do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Super duper. All right.
Yeah, I think we have everybody. We are missing one representative from Clear Lake, however. So Mike, you're the coordinator from Clear Lake. Usually you have Adeline or Dale with you. We still have a quorum. It's just one representative from Clear Lake right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. So we'll move on to the next item, the review and approval of minutes from our February 6th meeting. Hopefully everyone had a chance to review those minutes. I did notice that at the title, the year was 2019.
Oh, that is true.
So let's get that updated.
I mean, it felt like a long time ago.
All that I saw. Right?
Feels like 2019 was our last
Did
meeting.
anyone? It feels like that since last week. It's just, yeah. Did anyone else have any comments, suggestions, recommendations for the minutes?
I move that they get accepted with the correction.
All right, so great. We have a motion and then a second.
I second.
Super duper. All right, all in favor? respond by
Aye.
saying aye.
You can also do.
Aye.
All right. Is there anyone opposed? No. Super. All right. Let me get back to the agenda. My computer, a little slow. Where'd you go?
So I have it up on the
Sorry.
screen share as well. And then I will note too that Joyce Overton from Clear Lake is also not here. We still have a quorum, and Bruno
Great. Okay.
Sabatier just joined as well. Welcome, Supervisor.
Okay. So we got that done. Item number 3, consideration of any items not on the posted agenda. Angela, are you aware of any?
I am not aware of any.
Okay. Any member of our group today have any items not on the posted agenda?
No, ma'am.
Alrighty. Look at that, we're ahead of time. Number 4, current stormwater program status for COVID considerations. That's you, Angela.
Yeah, so thank you, Maria. We did have a second, our second quarter meeting was scheduled in May, and we had to postpone it, obviously because we were dealing with COVID and the lake opening and a whole bunch of stuff. And we also were instructed by the water board, this is mostly important for reporting, is in April, I believe they sent out a request asking that if we planned on having any delays or things not being met or missing compliance on items because of COVID, that they wanted to know right away. I did send that information out via email to all of our stormwater coordinators on this list with the letter from the water board and asked anybody if we want to do that. You know, I think at least for us, we were busy doing so much stuff that we didn't know what we wouldn't be able to get done at that time. We did communicate that with our compliance officer, that we just, you know, we were in speed mode recovery and trying to figure out what we needed to do, and we'd get back to them. And we wanted to do a joint effort to get back to them, but we just never did. So I just want to let you guys know that we still planning on doing reporting, and just when your respective, you know, representatives are doing reporting into the state system, to try not to use COVID as an excuse for at least everything. You know, here in Lake County, we have a lot of other reasons why we can't get stuff, you know, met on some time. So just keeping that in mind, because the water board did reach out and offer or persuade that, you know, offer in the middle of March. So if there's any questions on that, but I just want to make that clear with everybody. And then other than that, we're just going to try to keep rolling. You know, we're resilient, Lake County, and we just want to stay on target so stuff doesn't get backed up and behind, because we're finally getting this program going and we want to keep it going. So is there anything else from the other jurisdictions on stormwater considerations regarding COVID?
No, I made it clear. The Stormwater Board had contacted me in regards to the trash assessments. And so I clarified with them that we had done the assessments last year and that we were going to proceed with the assessments this coming month in October to meet their requirements, and that we had not done it due to the shelter in place in May. So they were really fine with that. And I know that they reached out to the county as well. And Angela addressed that with them as well.
Super. Anything from Clear Lake?
No.
Okay, then we'll move on to number 5. Thank you both. Bylaws, discussion and action. Bonnie? And for everyone who got the zip drive, this is attachment number 2.
So I wasn't sure if everyone was able to review this. This was something that we had submitted back in February. And so there were, most of the colored additives to it are either grammatical corrections or additions. Things that were highlighted were indicating new verbiage. So there's still a couple of questions that I had on how you wanted to address the bylaws. if you are agreeable with the definitions, we can just pass on that. And we'll also use that addendum of, I can't talk today, of the EPA's MPDES definition. So any additional terms that go on to those permits would be in those definitions as well. If you go to the section of Article 4 with membership, there's highlighted areas where we were recommending that the membership be accepted from any source, that the council members would serve a staggered 3-year term. And of course, that doesn't mean that they couldn't be reappointed. Section 6 on that, I did have a question. It says staff members, staff and coordination will be provided by the health department. I don't know if that's the actual department that we were wanting to use, but I'm fine with that. I need a little clarification on that part. If you go to the next section to Article 6 on the officers, they say under the chairman shall preside all meetings of the council in absence of chairperson, the vice chairperson shall preside. The next paragraph says, do we have to describe how we decide these positions in the bylaws? So I would like some clarification so that we could add it before we can accept this. As well in Article 8 with books and records, it indicates that there would be a representative to coordinate with the council being responsible for summarizing the meeting notes, posting agendas, and maintaining books and records required. So I had a question as to how and who that designated individual representative would be. Those were my only questions that I found in the bylaws that we had it clarified from February. Did anybody else have any questions in regards to this?
I have a question or comments as well.
Go ahead.
Super. Can you state your name just so that our secretary can do the minutes?
So this is Bruno Sabatier. Just to kind of go in the order of the document, I'm concerned that there might be some confusions between in the definitions between council and city council, and that maybe we need to use a different word than council, just because there might be some confusion in who it is that we're specifically talking about. Just something to think on. As far as the definitions of the officers, I think that we should put in what is your role. And I think those are, in my opinion, fairly simple to do so. And that we can discuss those after the fact if others think the same, that we should add descriptions of those roles. That way we know when we're positioned in those places what is expected of us. And I think that makes us accountable for what positions we hold, rather than just having a title and that's it.
So instead of like officer definitions, we should say role of council members.
Yeah, and maybe
or
even,
whatever title we use.
Even put the role of the rest of the members, because just because you don't have a specific title doesn't mean that your participation is not absolutely required. And what is your role that you play with that participation?
Okay. So we
That's
could
it.
add a second section that's just roles of the. Do you just want to say role definition?
Or you might just put them in definitions in the first place and just add those roles as a definition that you're defining, and then say these are the specific members of positions that can be held. I don't know.
Okay.
And one last thing I forgot. There is no mentioning of when somebody resigns from their position. And it says on there that you can get recommendations from any source, but I would suspect that the city still needs to put in somebody to represent the city, or the cities need to make sure that they have people representing their jurisdictions, the counties, same thing, and so on and so forth. So I think there needs to be a part that explains if somebody resigns, that where they resign from representing, what agency they're representing is the agency that needs to find a replacement for them, something along those lines. It doesn't speak on that. It only speaks on when the term ends.
Okay.
So we do have a where is our, to address that last point, Bruno, we have primary and secondary. So one thing we could add, Bonnie, is just that person, if someone's resigns, the secondary fills in until another primary is identified or something like that.
Well, I agree with his clarification, because on that section 2, it says appointment and removal, and it's clearly stating what is how they're appointed, but there's no clarity as to, other than they have the right to remove members for good cause shown after notice and a hearing before the Program Management Council as a whole. So it doesn't indicate the resignation process of, well, they can remove it, but then how do they fill that position? So I'll work on that verbiage.
And sorry if I'm being picky, but maybe appointment and vacancies, and then put removal as its own section, just because it's such a different situation when you're being removed versus then having a vacancy that you need to fill up, which is very similar to doing an appointment.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Good, thank you, Bruno. I have that written down as well, Bonnie.
Okay, but on that same thing, on that section 4, section 6, or Article 4, section 6, staff and coordination will be provided by the health department. Is that
that's weird?
Accurate? Is there?
I don't know why that's in there.
I'm pretty sure the health department doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Surprise! One more thing you guys get to do.
Right.
All right, so I'll take that. I'll delete that out.
Yeah. Also, on Bruno's description of roles of the officers, we could just insert that those definitions in Article 6 right next to the term in the officers section.
And that would work for me too.
Yeah.
So just input officers and then see section Article 6?
Yeah, like where, yeah, like Article 6A, chairperson, then just enter the role of the chairperson. And
Okay.
similarly going down the line.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the health department is out. How are we deciding executive positions? That was your next question, Bonnie. Does anyone have additional questions to add onto our list before we make sure that these are all resolved and move on?
I know that I saw DeBerry put up her hand earlier. I don't know if she still has something to say, but you're muted. There you go.
I just logged in, so I was just saying hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Welcome, thank you. She's from VOA. Yeah.
Okay, so describe how we decide these positions in the bylaws. We're still on Article 6 on the officers.
Yeah, how do we decide these things?
We pull straws.
We nominate
Rock,
the people
paper,
who
scissors.
Should we just do it on an annual basis? The group will decide? Okay.
Would it be better at the beginning of a new fiscal year or new calendar year?
What's easier for Angela?
We started the meetings in February. Our quarters are based on calendar year, so we can do that.
And I think because of elections and things like that, it would be better for calendar year as well.
Right. Our reporting year starts like November 1st to October 30th. So that's kind of weird than any other calendar that we have. So it's better,
let's not do that.
Reasons, yeah.
Cool. Okay, and representative of books and records?
Yeah.
Wow.
So for in our agreement that we have, the joint authority agreement that we have between the jurisdictions, it does specify that the Watershed Protection District provides a someone who coordinates and records meetings and minutes. That's what at least it says in the agreement.
Then I think that we should state that in there, that the Watershed District is going to be the designated representative.
Yeah, you can take the language probably straight from the agreement that we have approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then as to Bruno's other one about the vagueness regarding the word council, would it be satisfied by just adding either city council member or management council member? Would that help with clarification?
I was thinking maybe along the lines of putting CWP council, since there's city council, and having a CWP council, since that's the Clear Water Program.
Super. So long as we list that out and start the acronym somewhere in the beginning of the document, we should be fine following on from that. That's good.
So, so instead of putting council in the definitions, it'll be CWP council.
Or in the definition, you could just write the like full out, what does CWP stand for?
Clean Water Program.
Yes, there you go. Put that in the definitions with
So many acronyms.
in parentheses, CWP, and then city council will be just council, and we're good. Just referring to CWP or council moving on through the document.
Okay, thank you. There's some history to that term. This program used to be the Stormwater Advisory Committee, and then we updated the agreement in end of 2018, 2019. We changed it to Clean Water Program Management Council. So just that's the history of that, of it being called the Management Council instead of an advisory committee. FYI.
Thank you. I'm just a little slow, so. But thank you for that explanation.
More you know.
Okay, so if we're good, is there any further discussion, questions, suggestions on the bylaws? If not, we'll move towards action.
I just have to say thank you to Bonnie, and then also Betsy Kahn helped us. So both of those gals helped keep this going in the gap. So thank you.
That is a good team.
Yeah.
Any further comment? If not, I'll welcome a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the bylaws once the changes have been put in place.
Great, we have a motion. Any second?
Clear Lake second.
Is that EJ?
Yep, that was Mike Baker.
Oh, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Nope, good, moving on. Number 6, presentation from EOA, proposal of activities and budget.
Okay, so we have a presentation by EOA. We have Bonnie is here from EOA. We are ahead of schedule, Bonnie, like 15 minutes, which is great.
Yeah.
So are you okay going
You might
now?
want to clarify that that's Bonnie DeBerry, not Bonnie Sharp, just saying.
Right. There's not usually 2 Bonnies on a call. So Lisa Sabin will be presenting a couple of the slides, and I just pinged her and let her know that we're up now. So we can go now. If you wanted to just introduce the topic, Angela, I think that's what we talked about.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we're going to hear a presentation today from EOA regarding our several items that we are out of compliance on for our MS4 stormwater permit. So we have a stormwater permit joint with City of Lakeport and Clear Lake. One of the items for this permit that the permit started 2013, and this item I believe was due 2017, was the effectiveness assessment improvement plan. This is a kind of a review of your program, how the program is doing, what are the shortcomings, and how can it be improved. The information gathered from these plans from all of the counties around the state will then be used to create a better permit for the next round. We had, as you know, since 2015, a lot of things happened in our county, and this item got pushed to the side, and now we're 2 years out of compliance on this. It is one component of our permit that we have no activity on since we were given the permit in 2013, and we really kind of need a third party to come and help us do this. And so that's what you're going to hear from EOA today about that. The next item that is out of compliance is a TMDL, which is the total maximum daily load. And EOA is going to go into this a lot more detail, but we talked about a little bit at the last meeting. But this is kind of a way to, the mechanism for which we improve our lake, because we are an impaired water body. And we're a federally listed water body, but the state gave us the task of tracking what is in the runoff that goes into our lake, particularly sediments and phosphorus, which we know drive cyanobacteria blooms, of which we have a big problem. One of the items that we were given to do, because we were out of compliance for TMDL, was to what's called a time schedule order. And in that time schedule order, we had several steps and deadlines we had to meet. And internally, we've been able to address most of those steps. We were behind about a couple months because of COVID, but working with the city of Lakeport and the city of Clear Lake, we were able to basically collect a bunch of information about what we do management-wise, and then we got stuck on how effective is it? So how good are we at actually preventing sediments and phosphorus from going in the lake? And that's where we reached out to EOA to get some of their expertise on this. And they're gonna talk about a tool that they're gonna develop for us. So not only can we track now what we've done management-wise on the landscape, but what we can use the tool going into the future to make sure that we're still maintaining, we're reducing our runoff and reducing our impact on the lake. The other item in there will be some miscellaneous training. We love to have staff training. We haven't had any training for stormwater with staff for many, many years, and having EOA do that means we can have a customized training specifically for us and for what our needs are for our departments and our jurisdictions. So EOA will go into a lot more details on that. There is something on the agenda called a TMDL alternative option. So I've been working really closely with the water board about the TMDL. And when I let them know that we wanted a 6-month extension on our requirements to have EOA come in and help us, they kind of were like, wait, you don't need to do so much, and let's do an alternative, make it easier for you. The alternative option looks like it's just as much work as what EOA is going to do for us. And we are basically at our max capacity for our expertise and be able to meet those requirements. So I'm not going to spend a lot more time on the alternative, except that I did provide the alternative letter. It's 1 page. It's in your material packet. I believe it's at the back of the EOA proposal. And so you can read what that alternative is. And if you have any questions, let me know. But just as we go through the EOA presentation, the water board is often an alternative, but we want to kind of look at EOA and see if that really meets our needs and gets us somewhere beyond just meeting the alternative and actually provide something that'll be useful going into the future. I think I went a lot into it, but we still are early. So, and then Bonnie, are you ready? And I saw Lisa came in too. So Lisa Saban's here.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm going to give you control of this. I'm going to try.
Angela, can I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
Or actually, if it's possible to get Scott's or Marina's attention, there's the weirdest thing happening on the lake, and I think that there's kind of a little bit of a slight emergency. I'm trying to chat to them, but they're not responding. We literally have a garage floating and sinking in the lake, and in what looks like to be a boat inside the garage, pushing it slowly towards Austin Park.
Okay, yep, I'm here. You have my attention. All right, I will look into that. Thank you, Bruno. I might send you a text here soon.
I wish I could give you a picture, but it's too far for a good picture. The binoculars showed me exactly what I just detailed, so it's a very strange phenomenon. I can't explain it better than I did, but thank you for being there.
Yep, of course.
Never a dull day.
Sorry for the interruption.
That's okay, thank you. All right.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, I did give you control of the screen.
All right, yeah, I got it.
There you go, perfect, okay.
Okay, thanks, Angela. So my name is Bonnie DeBerry, and I'm a managing scientist at EOA. Lisa Saban is also on the call, and we just have a short presentation with a couple slides to provide you with some background on EOA and descriptions of the tasks in our proposal. EOA is a small business founded in 1985. Our founding principals were former staff at the San Francisco Bay Regional Water Quality Control Board. And although we're all working from home now, we have our main office in Oakland, and we have a staff of about 30 scientists and engineers, most with graduate level degrees, and who specialize in various aspects of stormwater management. The majority of EOA's clients are public agencies with stormwater NPDES permits. We manage 2 countywide Phase 1 MS4 programs in the Bay Area, and we work with several Phase 2 communities throughout the state. We assist our clients with all aspects of stormwater management. That includes core stormwater program activities such as IDDE and construction site controls. We coordinate work groups and subcommittees. We conduct staff trainings and public outreach activities and develop materials for those. We develop manuals to assist municipalities in sizing and designing stormwater runoff control BMPs. We develop and implement water quality monitoring programs. We provide specialized assistance with TMDLs, and we represent our clients at state and regional committees. Some of our Northern California Phase 2 clients, our current clients, include Town of Windsor, the City of Reading, and the South Santa Clara County Regional Partners, which is similar to the Lake County Clean Water Program in that the Santa Clara group includes a county and 2 small cities. EOA has experience working with the Lake County Clean Water Program. Back in 2003, EOA worked with the county to help establish the Clean Water Program. And in 2007, we developed the first Clean Water Program Stormwater Management Plan. EOA is known for our regulatory savvy. We understand that each stormwater program has unique environmental conditions and needs, and each regional board or regulatory authority has their own focus and their own priorities. So, as Angela mentioned, the Phase 2 NPDES permit had a requirement to submit a program effectiveness assessment and improvement plan in 2015. This plan, or PEEP as some call it, focuses on high priority pollutants of concern. In our proposal for you, we scoped for 2 priority pollutants, sediment and phosphorus. But we could talk about also adding pyrethroids in a limited capacity. The PEEP provides a framework for the assessment of BMPs and the overall stormwater program. It identifies a set of management questions to evaluate the program, and it describes how those questions will be answered using specified data assessment methods. For each question, the PEEP identifies the type of data that will be assessed, such as responses to surveys, public surveys that you may have sent out, tracking of staff trainings and outreach activities, as well as modeling results and sampling results. For each year after the 2015 PEEP submittal date, the Phase 2 permit required an annual program effectiveness assessment, which would follow the PEEP framework. So we understand that the Lake County Clean Water Program has not been able to meet these permit requirements, but you guys are now ready to do some catch up. Our proposal includes developing 2 documents under this task, a regional PEEP and an assessment of the regional program effectiveness. So the regional PEEP will follow the Casca guidance document, and this is something that EOA has done for other Phase 2 clients. The PEEP will be tailored to the types of data currently available. And it can also include data types that are under development, such as the BMP effectiveness calculator that Lisa will talk about next. The program effectiveness assessment report will summarize the data and will answer the management questions laid out in the PEEP using the assessment methods. And the assessment report will include sections on how the program has improved over the past 7 years, and it will include recommendations for future improvements. In order to develop these documents, EOA will need to learn more about the Lake County Clean Water Program. And as such, our scope of work includes several conference calls to speak with knowledgeable staff. And we'll go through Angela to get all of those calls to identify staff people to work with and to set up those calls if Angela does need to pass it along. Although these documents are being prepared late in the phase 2 permit term, they will prepare the Lake County Clean Water Program for the next version of the phase 2 permit, which is currently going through the reissuance process and will likely include continued implementation of a program effectiveness assessment and improvement plan. And the details of that, that section of the next permit are still being worked out. So now I'll pass it over to Lisa, who will talk about the effectiveness calculator.
Thank you, Bonnie. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so the second task in our proposal is to develop a BMP effectiveness calculator. So first of all, why do you need this? Well, Lake County Clean Water Program co-permittees have a phosphorus waste load allocation of about 2,000 grams per year for Clear Lake that has not yet been attained. Or more accurately, you have not yet been able to demonstrate that it has been attained. So the program requested additional time, and in response, the Central Valley Water Board issued a time schedule order that specifies actions and timelines to demonstrate compliance with the TMDL requirements. And one of these actions, identified as task 3 in the time schedule order, is to submit a BMP effectiveness assessment report that demonstrates attainment of the waste load allocation based on phosphorus load reductions achieved through your current BMP implementation. However, in order to develop that report and determine if the waste load allocation has been met, the program needs to account for the phosphorus load reductions achieved through your existing BMPs. Next slide. All right, so to help you with this, EOA is proposing to develop a BMP effectiveness calculator tool that will be able to quantitatively demonstrate your progress towards the waste load allocation based on the current inventory of BMPs. And we've proposed the task listed here for this project. First, we need to review your existing BMP inventory so we know what types of BMPs need to be evaluated. Second, we will conduct a literature review so we can identify sediment removal efficiencies and other types of data that we'll need to develop the appropriate accounting methodologies. There are a variety of resources that we'll want to use, but we'll definitely want to query the International BMP database, which is a really good compilation of BMP effectiveness data. Our next task is to create an Excel-based spreadsheet tool. That tool will be able to apply the methodologies and data inputs that we've compiled, and it'll calculate the loads reduced for your existing BMPs. And we're planning to focus on sediment load reduction as a surrogate for phosphorus load reduction. And then finally, we will provide you with a memorandum that documents the methodologies, the assumptions, the data inputs, and also provides some guidance on how to use the calculator tool. And then as needed and requested, we can also provide you with a web-based demonstration of how to use the calculator tool. So overall, the calculator and the memo together will provide you with the information that you need to produce your BMP effectiveness assessment report and meet the Water Board's time schedule order. Next slide. So EOA is well qualified to help you with this task. We've recently completed similar projects for the Bay Area Stormwater Management Agencies Association, or BASMA. These included developing reports that document pollutant load reduction accounting methodologies for 2 other sediment-based stormwater pollutants in order to demonstrate achievement of TMDL requirements for the San Francisco Bay. And then we also created for these a companion spreadsheet calculator tool that applies the methodologies and calculates those pollutant load reductions, which is what we're proposing to do for you. The first of these reports was approved by the Regional Water Board's Executive Officer in 2017, and BASMA will be submitting the second report to the Regional Water Board for approval this coming September. So now if anyone has any questions about the proposal, Bonnie and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Great, thank you guys. Are there any questions right now?
No, Clear Lake's good. Thank you.
I don't have any from Lakeport.
Any of our other members have questions, comments?
No questions here. This is Eddie Crandall.
Okay.
That was good. Thank you very much. I really like how it works within that timeline. Because even though we have put it off for a while with very good reasons, it's good to know that we can get back on track. Thank you.
Sure. All right, well, thank you all for considering our proposal, and we hopefully look forward to working with you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, I guess we'll sign off now then.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
If there's any follow-up
Bye.
questions, I'll write them down and I'll get them to you.
Right, and our contact information is here, so feel free to call me or email both of us.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, I want to make sure. There we go. Okay. All right. So we're super ahead of schedule. We like that. Discussion for that item. So this was EOA, and then today we want an action item to approve the proposal. And if you have questions about, how that'll work, we in the meeting materials have put together some cost share items. So due to the nature of the joint jurisdiction over this program, and that there's kind of overlapping things that we do on the landscape, and we all kind of share the lake. We wanted to kind of have this be a cost share item where the county can facilitate that accounting and the invoicing through EOA, and then we just agree to some cost share ahead of time, and that's what each jurisdiction is bringing to the table for having this done. So in anticipation of that, and how does that cost share work, I put together the proposed cost share items. Now, the Clean Water Program, even though we've been around since 2003, technically we haven't ever had a split cost for something like this. In fact, we've never had sort of a joint budget. The only thing we've split costs for in the past have been the permit application fee. So every year we each pay a portion of the stormwater permit fee, and that's based on the population breakdown between Lake County, Lakeport, and Clear Lake on the numbers of the population when the permit went into effect. So if we wanted to continue that, we put the estimates here. Now, there's two things to think about, because the TMDL calculator is only based on, you see this map right here, on areas that drain straight into Clear Lake, whereas anything that applies to the overall permit applies to these areas. So the only difference is anything that applies to program-wide, the whole permit, that is the PEEP and the miscellaneous training. applies for all of these areas that are in a yellow or tan. And so you can notice this includes Lower Lake, portion, the whole entire city of Clear Lake, Coyote Valley, Middletown area, whereas the TMDL only items, which is the calculator, only applies to areas that are in the basin. So that's only a portion of Clear Lake. Part of Clear Lake doesn't actually drain directly into Clear Lake. It drains into Cache Creek, and not Lower Lake, and not Coyote Valley, not Middletown. So that's the difference. That's why I split it up. If the council wants to pool everything together or do something different, we're open to that. We've never done this before, so as we decide on a cost share for this item, we can do it just for this one thing, or it might be a precedence for future things. I'm not sure how that will work and what that looks like, but I wanted to provide you guys with what it would cost to do these things. Population, here we have the breakdown for the TMDL part, or if we want to do it by area, because at least for the TMDL, they're looking at what's on the landscape, and so that might be area based. But I wanted to have a discussion about it, see what you guys think, and then have an action to decide what to do. Are there any questions on this? Yeah, Bruno?
Yeah, I have a question, and I get it that it's meant to be for specific areas, but I know like along Soda Bay Road and things like that, there's a lot of residential activity throughout, and those numbers aren't being added in there, but yet they still have an impact on the lake and the TMDL potentially. Just because I'm looking at the fact that Lakeport and Clear Lake, it's 3 times the amount, which Clear Lake has 3 times the population of Lakeport, so that matches. But then when I look at the county of Lake and it's 21,000 compared to the 16,000 of Clear Lake, it doesn't seem, and I get it that you explained that, but at the same time, there's so many other areas of the county that do have impact to the lake and contribute to TMDL. So that's the only part that kind of stands out and has a red flag for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And just so you know, the county, we have our own requirement of the TMDL for all of that space that's in between these MS4 areas. So
okay.
The county is going to pay for all of that other county space already for meeting our own TMDL and order. So we're actually going with EOA to do a calculator for a TMDL for all of that other space that's in between all of those. So those areas that you're talking about, because yeah, they all drain into the lake. The areas that are excluded are things that belong to irrigated ag, the state of California, Forest Service.
And not part of MS4.
Right. Well, and they're not we're not the responsible parties. So, but we're responsible parties for like the whole Middle Creek area, the Middle Creek Restoration Area. That's on county for us to put into the calculator for our own separate order, not related to MS4 permit. So they're going to be considered in for the TMDL. Don't worry about that. And the county's going to pay for it.
Thank you very much for the explanation.
Yes, thank you for that question. And I will say this map, it doesn't show Lucerne, but we are including Lucerne. If you look at the cost breakdown sheet that was sent out in your meeting materials, if you look, I kind of provided the data that I was using to get to these numbers. Lucerne is listed into there under the acres and the population. It's just we forgot it in this when this map came out. Are there any other questions? Comments?
I talked to you earlier, and I didn't know if they had considered this as well. When she indicated it to me, there could be that on the TMDL could be population based if it was lower, and the PEEP would be area based. So it's not quantitative to you only pick population for both or area for both. You could separate it from either table.
Yeah, like
that makes any sense.
Pick one area and one population. Like anything in the past that's been permit based has all been on population. So the state's perspective is population based. So that might be the PEEP, because that's with the permit, coincides with the permit. But as TMDL, if we want to do area, because it is actually they're counting for area stuff, we could choose to do one area and one population. Now, Bonnie, if you were saying Lakeport wants to take the lower amount for both of those, which might be a combo, then that would mean somebody else would be taking the higher amount for that. So that's what we have to have a discussion here and make those tough decisions. which we're all excited to do, enthusiastic.
Right.
And so this proposal, you know, we've kind of been, there was a rough proposal submitted earlier in the year, and so that was provided to both the cities back then in like January, February, or was it COVID? I think I was working from home. So maybe March or April. So we did provide some of these estimated numbers for this back then for them to kind of mull over and see if it was a pathway they wanted to do and if it was something that could be budgeted for them. So, so there should have been some inclination of some of this for some of the stormwater coordinators and representatives. But is there anybody else? Questions? So do we want to make an action to go with population or area based on this? Both the same?
Was it an either or? Sorry, I missed a little bit of that conversation because I was texting Kevin to make sure that he was already familiar with this and I could go ahead and vote.
Yeah. Kevin is
Yeah, I made sure I
on
gave it to
board.
him.
He's the biggest proponent. He was like, yes, let's do this. Whatever.
Good.
You know, and like Lakeport, you guys are looking at $1,000 difference for that. You know, county, we're looking at 5,000, but we're spending a lot, you know, for the other county areas outside of this. So any little bit for us, and we're doing the coordinating for that. So, you know, we would vote for a little lower, but would, you know, I'm sure everybody would. So
yeah, I think Bonnie and Kevin have already discussed it. So I'm on board with whatever Bonnie says. It's good with the city.
Thanks, Mireya.
You're welcome. No pressure.
So I liked as far as Lakeport is concerned, we like the population base for the TMDL. I like the lower price on the PEEP, but because it's not a significant difference for Lakeport itself, however, the other two parties choose on the PEEP, we'll concede to that part. But as far as the TMDL, I think the population base would be better. Hi, Bruno.
Did you have a question? Go for it.
I have an offer. What if it was population-based plus area-based divided by 2 and getting the average for both of the above, since it makes a difference based on the area and it makes a difference based on population, not one or the other, but both, which would increase Lakeport by about $500 possibly. It decreased Clear Lake by about $3,000, maybe less, and increased county by about $2,500. And either way, it still adds up to $44,000.
Yeah,
that sounds fair.
That's a good solution. Okay,
that sounds good.
Let me write this in the minute. So we're going to.
Thanks, Bruno.
Just because it almost matches what we do for AVA, where it's not just what the population is, it's also on what kind of activity. And this TMDL is based on the activity on the land. And so the area still makes a difference, not just the population.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you for that. I wish I would have thought of that earlier.
You did. You sent it to me.
Okay. Okay, so we can do that. I will, if we want to make a motion to approve it based on average between population and area. And then today I'll update a table for these and have that sent out just so we all know the amounts. So before we make that contract with EOA, I get confirmation from you guys that yes, so I'm gonna put that in there, that just so we all know what the numbers look like.
Okay, sounds good.
So can we have,
yeah, so you were asking for action there, weren't you?
yes, for both of these. Let's do them both separately, please, and then it's the same thing, two different things.
So can we get a motion on the is it the 6A, TMDL?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we accept the updated table information for the average between area and population, quoting new actual share options for a total of 44,000 between Lakeport, Clear Lake, and County of Lake.
Can I get a
This is
second?
Mike Baker, City of Clear Lake, I second.
Great. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed? Okay, good. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to 6B,
There we go.
the total MS4 area for the PEEP and miscellaneous. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to have an updated cost share for the EOA PEEP and miscellaneous training task for population area average cost share.
Great. Motion. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, that was Bonnie. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Nope. Good. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys. So we'll we get those final numbers, and then we'll work with the contract with them, and then before we sign, we'll make sure we'll review just with the representatives, the stormwater coordinators at the next meeting, and they'll get started on this, and then we'll be able to meet our TMDL deadlines. So really appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Great. So we'll move on to number 8, presentation and discussion of monitoring plan.
Yes, so I thought we'd have Rachel on the line. She helped us develop this, but I'll go ahead and just present this item. So attachment 7 in your meeting materials was the Lake County-wide stormwater monitoring plan. This is another item that was a requirement in our current permits and our previous permits. And this is what literally describes how we go about sampling urban stormwater to identify the runoff and what's in the runoff coming from these urban sources. This has always been a requirement, and we've not had an active monitoring plan or program to do that. So we're really thankful to UC Davis and the Cal Rural Water Association. Rachel Kennard, pro bono, wrote this plan for us, worked with us in Lakeport and City of Clear Lake to do the legwork to figure out where the best places were to do some of the sampling. She called the labs, got the prices, looked at all the current orders, made sure we were in compliance with this construction of this plan. So we're really thankful that she was able to do that. She did as part of her master's project at UC Davis. This will meet any future TMDL requirements we have, as well as any future permits. So it's specifically geared for the next permit cycle requirements, as well as meeting the current ones. We also have a current pyrethroid order that we have to comply with. So pyrethroids are used in urban pesticide products, and the state sent us an order that we have to do some baseline monitoring of pyrethroids from urban areas to see, what people are putting on their lawns and their homes, and how much of that is coming off into runoff into the storm drain system. In the plan, we have 2 scenarios, and they're broken down in 2 phases. The first phase is for this period for 2020 to 2024. And this phase includes the sampling requirements for the pyrethroids. So it's an order to do baseline pyrethroid sampling. So it's basically a one-time deal for like 1 year, you do some sampling, you see what your results are. And then depending on if you're exceeding or below some target, then you have to do more work. And this is pretty standard for stormwater programming stuff. It also includes some auto samplers. So the county got some auto samplers gifted to us from Napa County. So we're going to install these at some of these locations. This map here shows our proposed monitoring stations for the stormwater sampling. And then the pyrethroids are only at a subset of these, only 4. So 1 station would be in Lakeport, Clear Lake, and then 2 would be at some areas in the county urban areas. This is a picture of the sampler. The phase 2, which would be after 2025 until beyond, if we like the auto samplers, we would get more, because imagine trying to sample all these locations in one storm event. You know, it would be pretty difficult, but if we can have some auto samplers out there, they'll just be set, you set them, they'll take samples over, you know, a 5-hour period or 24-hour period, and then you can take the samples that you need and send them to the lab, and you don't have to worry about going out there in the middle of the night and doing some sampling that sometimes can be dangerous. So we had an action item today to approve that monitoring plan. And then I had a question for you guys if we needed to go ahead and implement a plan, if it needed to go to any board of supervisors or city councils to get approved, or it's something just we can do in our department. The plan does have, and I have it here in our meeting materials. So that's what it looked like. And it does describe the sampling that's needed, what parameters are going to be sampled, as well as some of the methods for that. And then also the price breakdown. So Rachel reached out to both cities and the county, and we gave estimates on what some of these costs would be associated with doing some of these sampling. Now we know that in some years we get a whole bunch of events, and some years we don't get any storm events, or we get one. So we did put a table in here for average cost of routine monitoring based on the number of samples and then based on the number of events. So it just gives ranges of how much something might cost for doing these sort of activities. So, you know, we have about a year or to 2 years to get some of this put in the budgets and implemented. But first we wanted to take an action on this plan. Are there any questions on this from anybody? No? Okay.
I don't know that we need approval, but it would be really cool if we could get a presentation. Just so the city, you know, has an increased awareness of what is required of us and how it's going to go about getting done.
I agree. I think that too often we speak of how the lake is our economic driver in our communities, and the reason that a lot of people believe, and it could be right, that some of our tourism is not as good as it could be is because of the quality of the lake. And this is all about lake quality and what we're looking at and what we're looking for. And so I think having more understanding of what the process is that we're doing to check those TMDLs and whatnot, that I think we should make that a public thing.
Okay. Well, if you get, again, if she's willing to go to the council, since she's more knowledgeable about speaking and has the PowerPoint presentation, Miss Angela, then
Go ahead, Bonnie. Sorry, keep going.
No, not at all. I was just thinking that, you know, I think I agree with both of you, Mireya and Bruno, in the fact that knowledge is power, and if we're expecting people to understand that we do take our treatment of the lake and its surrounding areas to heart, this is a method that we could actually prove that point to them, that we are taking it seriously and we are addressing it. And if there's more awareness, then hopefully there'll be more acceptance about why the cost that we're using is, you know, being implemented.
Okay, I agree, and I just want to clarify for the minutes, and just so I know, the purpose of the presentation is the knowledge sharing of what the plan is and what we plan to do, and like how much it costs, but what the benefit is, those kind of things. It's not to say, hey, we want to do this, are you okay with it, correct?
Correct. Not approval.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that's super useful. I know I get calls all the time that people, I pay taxes, what's the money going for? Or, you know, what's this muscle sticker going for? What are you guys doing? So having some sort of demonstration of, you know, this is actually what we're doing and the cost associated with it, I think would be really enlightening for the public and everybody else. So, okay. So
I also,
also-
if I could add one more thing. One thing that I really liked about the description was the listing of the different sources that these pollutants come from. Because I think that every opportunity that we can share with people how personal consumption of fertilizers or nutrients or pesticides and things like that, how they go into our lake, it's helpful, because I think a lot of people don't really think about it. You know, when they're washing their car and their water's running all the way down, that does end up, and it makes an impact cumulatively. So I'd like it if you could keep that in your introduction. That's my favorite part. Thanks.
and you saw that description in the monitoring plan?
Yeah, I thought it was at the beginning of it, but it might have been in one of the 9 documents I read today. Wherever it came from, I thought it was really good. I think it was for phosphorus. Just because I was wondering, well, I mean, where are we getting all this stuff? You know, why we're allowed 2,000 grams? Maybe it was in the EOA proposal then, sorry. But if we could just help people sort of have a full circle understanding of, this is stuff that goes into our lake. This is not good. The state really doesn't like it. That's why we have to test for these sort of things. And you know, and the purpose of testing is so that we can create a baseline and eventually reduce the amount. This is how you can help, that sort of thing. That would be really helpful.
Basically make people learn how to be responsible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
And at
order.
the same time with the presentation, Angela, you might add the fact that we do have, which is going to be next on the agenda, but bring out the point that we will be having work groups that are inclusive of public participation. So if they feel strongly about it, they're welcome to join in and assist.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. All like 2 of the people who usually watch our meetings. It's a public outreach opportunity. So I just want to make sure we take advantage of it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and we actually get credit for it in our permit as public participation. So, double box checks. Supervisor Crandall, I heard you talk earlier, and did you have question?
No, I was just saying it's a good opportunity also to show some sort of like something showing that the county and other groups are trying to do something about the lake as well. So Bruno brought up the fact that a lot of people use the lake as one of our justifications for an economic driver, but and they're always asking, what are you doing about our lake? This gives like an example. I mean, it's another thing to add to what is happening. I like it.
We've actually seen that quite recently, haven't we seen that, EJ?
Yes. What are you doing? Yes.
Yeah, and to dovetail off that, I just came off a Blue Ribbon Committee technical subcommittee meeting and presented this was our proposed monitoring scheme for urban, and part of that group's effort was also looking at urban sources because there wasn't that information. But now that we have this and we're all, getting that information as part of this plan, some of that effort can then go for some things that there are, now further missing information. So we're kind of piecing in all the puzzles and all the gaps and using, leveraging all of our efforts to get a bigger picture of what's going on too. Okay. So perfect. I'll put that as an action item to create a presentation. I do have a question for the cities. When do you think is the best time to bring that to the boards or the councils and for public consumption? When is the most time you guys think that would be readily absorbed? Like for cyanobacteria groups, we don't like presenting anytime between now until next February because it's the end of the season. People are dealing with fires, other things. And right when people start going on the lake is when they start talking and thinking about cyanobacteria and stuff. So that's when we would be doing our presentations. So something like this, maybe in the middle of stormwater when people are seeing stormwater moving around. So sometime in like February, maybe, or in the middle of summer when they're thinking about lake water quality. Do you guys have any?
Yeah, I think lake quality, the summertime, like you said.
Okay, spring or summer.
Yeah, let's go spring, because summer then we're all distracted by wildfires and
I know.
I like that. Because it is, I think people would link it more towards water quality. I agree.
Okay. Well, I'll put in here March, April, because sometimes things get naturally pushed back, but that's like the beginning of going outside enjoying the lake season, but people are still thinking or have on their mind rains and things like that. So it's kind of a cusp in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have this action. So can we, we should approve the plan? Is there any more questions on that?
And before you approve the plan, on the next steps, should that not be addressed before we approve it, or should we approve it and then attack the budget and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, usually once, as I do water quality stuff, this is usually, I mean, we kind of looked at the budgets already, but we're probably not going to implement this year. Maybe some of it will implement, but probably next year. That might be enough time to do budgets, but to do the QAQC, you have to know what it is you need to put in there. So you need to have a plan first, and to do your sites,
okay, we
kind of have to know where we're going first to check. And then, what we're doing is, at least for us, for the auto sampler, just kind of, we have somebody starting that'll be able to do that. So if we have an approved plan and we want to pursue that plan, then we can do these other things, or we can address this first and approve the plan at the next meeting. I just need.
No, I didn't say that we had to wait until next meeting. I was just thinking,
yeah,
did we have any questions in regards to what approving it is going to cause? That cause and effect thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we have a plan on the books that's approved, it helps a lot with our permitting requirements now. And then we can go in and add these in as, okay, appendices for the final, or at least the two. And then it's easier for the jurisdictions if they want a budget, if they know exactly what it is, the range of money that's being requested for fulfilling the items in there.
Okay, so I'm comfortable moving forward. Is everyone else comfortable moving forward with approving plan today?
Yeah.
I am.
City of Clear Lake's fine.
Yay, so I'll take a motion.
City of Clear Lake seconds.
Wait, who first did it? Who was first?
Mike's a go-getter.
Yeah, right. Hey, Mike, how about you make the motion and we'll get a
All
second.
right, City of Clear Lake makes a motion to move forward.
Good.
Second.
Thanks, EJ. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed to this item? Nope. Good.
Who seconded it? Was that Supervisor Crandall?
EJ
Okay.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, Supervisor Crandall.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and then all, yay, no.
All right. Look at her.
You guys, you're productive today. Everyone's
I'm
awesome.
tired of this chair. Let's get through this meeting.
It's so exciting though, and you want it to last forever. So the next item we just have is scheduling. We made it a goal for the last meeting that every quarter we would have at least one work group meeting. So the work groups are the separate components of the permit and other additional items that need to be addressed, that just need more specific little detailed things that don't need decisions by the management council. So these are the work groups. We have coordinators on the work groups. And then I did reach out, and we have some tentative schedule meetings coming up before the end of this next quarter, to at least have these work group meetings. So just want to let everybody know, oh, we do have this one, 15, 3 to 4, I think, for trash work group. She just let me know. So it looks like we have a lot between September and October for these work group meetings. One adjustment for this was that because if we have EOA taking over some of the TMDL stuff, I have a little more time than I don't have to focus on as much TMDL as I was doing, except coordinating the OA. And since Kevin just kind of moved up and to a different position, I was going to help him with some of that public education. We also have a summer intern that's helping install drain markers around and doing some outreach for us. And he's going to be doing that both in Lakeport, City of Clear Lake, and around the county MS4 areas. And so our involvement with him kind of made it make sense for me to switch to the education outreach work group to do that. So yeah, that's the scheduling. Just letting you guys know we have that scheduled. So those work groups, and then these are the upcoming. Are there any questions on this first? Sorry, I'm just moving along. Let me make sure I don't. Nope. Okay. So then the next thing we have is, these are the dates for the next Management Council proposed meetings for the next quarter and the following quarter. So we have December 10th, which is a Thursday, 3 to 5, definitely via Zoom for that. And if everybody's okay with that, I'll go ahead and send out an invite so we can get it on the calendar.
Fine by me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Okay, let me make a note. And then March 11th, 2021, also a Thursday. I'm hoping we can meet in person, maybe down in Clear Lake or somewhere, and see everybody. But if not, we can always do Zoom too.
And my guess is that no matter what, we will still continue Zoom, because I think it just makes it so much more convenient for so many more people that have to go left and right, rather than all having to meet in one area. I mean, even if you're just in Clear Lake and having to meet in Lakeport, it's a pain in the butt to have to drive for an hour back and forth or longer versus just sitting down in a virtual meeting. So having the option, I think, should always continue from now on.
I totally agree. That's a really good
I
point.
agree.
Okay, so what we can do, and what I've done for previous meetings before COVID is do it Zoom, and then we have a conference room with Zoom with a tech set up. So if members of the public want to come and they don't have Zoom, we can always have that option. They can come up and be in person and participate in the meeting that way too. So we can just default to Zoom and then always have that in-person option available, which I've done before and worked out great. Okay, so we're okay with both of those dates, December 10th and March 11th. I'll send out calendar placeholders for both of those. The next thing, we do have a remote Casca conference coming up. It's September 15th and 16th. Anybody that's involved in this, particularly the coordinators that are, implementing the program, should participate in this this year because it's remote. It's a lot more affordable. You just, you have to be a member, but you don't have to do the whole travel and the hotel. And it's normally 3 days. Today it's, this time it's 2 days. I have looked at the program, and it is, there's a lot more panels and workshops. So I actually think it might have more opportunity to ask more questions and get some specific information on things that's specific to us. I participate, I've been in the last 2 Casca conferences, the last 2 years, and some of their subcommittees. A lot of what they do, they have some smaller rural counties, but most of it is larger, larger metropolitan areas. But if you ask the right questions, you can get some information that is really helpful on that. And so I think the registration date is September 8th. So if anybody, if it's of interest, it'll help kind of, if there's anything that you guys want, it's available at Casca. October 8th, we have a coordinators meeting, so we can do our reporting. Our reporting's due in the middle to end of October. And so we want to make sure we get that on time. So we'll have a coordinators meeting with that. So that's, I believe, with Bonnie, Mike, maybe Adeline, maybe Andrew, and myself, and I think one more person from county, but that's just to get together and make sure all reporting is aligned and we get everything in there that we need to. And then EOA, they have said they're going to get their TMDL effectiveness calculator done to us by December 31st. that gives us an opportunity to incorporate it into our report and make sure we have it all ready to go. And then our report and our time schedule order for Team DL is due January 31st. So since we agreed and we're going to move forward with the OA, we can inform the water board that we are going to be doing this extension and getting OA on board. And so we'll be submitting that January 31st. Public comment. Is there any questions on scheduling?
Nope.
Public comment? Anybody from the public? No. Bonnie, am I forgetting anything? I think I'm good. I'm on the agenda. I just want to make sure.
Nope, you're on time. It's all good.
Okay, I think that's it. That's what we have. We're a little early, so great. Good job, everybody. You worked hard today. Thank you for all your input. I'll send out, I have several action items. I'll send out some invites for placeholders for the next few meetings. Let me know at any time if you have any questions. And I'll keep you updated on the contract with EOA and then updated cost share amounts. I'll send that soon as well. Probably do that right now, next half hour.
Perfect.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Stay safe,
All right,
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.